Hey, hi, hello, welcome to the channel. I'm Amber, and today I am back with you for a review. She can't make up her mind where she's going. Anyways, I am back with a review for Redefining Realness, My Path to Womanhood, Identity, Love, and So Much More by Janet Mock. In 2011, Marie Claire published a profile about Janet Mock, in which she came out as for the first time as a trans woman. And at the beginning of this book, that's how it's kind of introduced to her reading the article that was written about her, and she comes to realize there's a lot of things that she didn't talk about that she felt like was necessary at some point to talk about, but wasn't appropriate or the right time for that at that point. And so this book is centered on her growing up, what it was like to be growing up as a trans person with family and the coming out process for her and the transitioning process and what that looked like for her. Um, Overall, I really appreciated the vulnerability and openness that she had in talking about her experience. I don't write memoirs because unless there's like something major about it that was problematic or whatever. Otherwise, I don't feel comfortable reading memoirs because that's them telling their story, so it's a little weird to be doing that, in my opinion. But otherwise, I really appreciated what this was. I did feel like towards the end, it kind of felt a little repetitive, like she was talking about certain things that just felt like the same thing over again. It's interesting that she has written another book centering on her younger life, and I feel like I don't know how much more she's going to add to what she's already talked about, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of people can get something out of this, and I'm not trying to deter anyone from that. I just thought that towards the end, it kind of got a little exhausting because I felt like things that she had talked about previously were being repeated back at me. But the fact that she was just so able to be honest and vulnerable about her own story, and what I really appreciated is that she wasn't like treating it as like this is the the way that all coming out and transitioning looks like. I will say that there were certain things that when she was talking about transness in a general sense, that I felt like there was some kind of, I don't know if it was purposeful. I don't even think she was being purposeful about it, but it almost felt exclusionary towards people who didn't fit within the binary. You know, there's people who are agender, gender fluid, gender non-binary, intersex. Like there's all these other identities that fall under the trans umbrella. And I thought that when she was talking about it in a general sense, like she wasn't talking about her life, she was talking about the topic of transness, that those things should have been brought up. There were like moments where I was like, this would have been the perfect time to bring this up. And she does bring it up like once, but I was just like, okay, that kind of almost felt performative, but I'm not here to like make that kind of judgment. I just was like, I feel like this would have been like a nice thing. There was like nice moments where she could have brought that up, and could have maybe used a little bit more inclusionary language in talking about certain things. But overall, her story was something that I appreciated, and I was happy to read someone's experience of what it was for her growing up trans, and the way that her family, especially her parents, treat her. I was like, I'm kind of surprised that she even has relationships with these parents, with these people as adults. Um, but if she, as long as she's like dealt with what that was like for her, and they've done like the work, then that's all that matters. Either way, I do not write nonfic memoirs, and I don't write this one, but I do say that I would recommend this for people who are looking for understanding more about what it's like to be trans, the different experiences that people have. I just would not go into this, but putting like an accurate overall look of what that trans experience is, because her experience overall was actually quite, I think, lucky for her. And she does acknowledge that. Like, she does acknowledge how her experience is one of the lucky ones in a way, because she was able to have a safe space for the most part to come out and transition. And so she does acknowledge that, and she also recognizes, like, she tells the reader, do not go into this expecting this to be your experience or anything like that. So I really also appreciate that she acknowledged that aspect of it, because this is not the typical story that you hear, but also we need these kind of stories. We need to hear people talking about trans joy and moments of positivity of coming out and transitioning, what that can look like for people. So it's just important, and I think that I would recommend this for most anybody who is open to understanding what it is to be trans and what that can look like. And anybody who is trans, I think that this is a book to read too. But just go into it with that knowledge that like her experience may not reflect your experience, and that obviously everybody's experience is going to be different depending on your circumstances and what you want from your transitioning and the coming out process, you know. But anyways, I recommend it. I appreciate it for what it was, and I will see you in the next review.